Welcome back to Surviving Dewey podcast. We have a return guest, our first return guest, Wild Bill, who is officially out on the jury, played a hell of a game, and very excited to talk with him about his experience this season and what he's seen from the outside. So thank you for joining us and welcome.
I'm happy to be here.
Let's just get straight to it about your elimination. You pretty much sacrificed yourself. Walk us through your thought process.
Well, the challenge was abysmal, and I panicked and wasn't able to keep my thoughts straight. I was in like a loop. It's like, I can't do this. Total negative self-talk.
So the challenge for our viewers and listeners who haven't seen the episode yet was a puzzle challenge where one castaway from the tribe has to search for eggs, and that was you. You needed
the searcher.
eggs.
I was a searcher.
8 eggs filled with a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
And you had a hard time finding that 7th egg.
I had a hard time finding every egg.
The first 4 inside seemed to go pretty quickly, though.
No.
Pretty on pace with Kendall.
No, once I knew she was out the door, that just played on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I found that 4th one in there, I thought, I'm never going to be able to find the 4 outside. And turns out that was almost true.
Yeah. And so you took that to heart, and you thought that your performance in the challenge meant that you should leave the game. It seemed like.
Yeah. I didn't think I'd offer anything moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
at that point, you didn't think so.
No, not. I mean, it was the moment we've all been waiting for. My folding into oblivion.
But you had an immunity idol. You had power in the game, and you gave it up.
I did.
For another player.
Yes, I did. Because it was so demoralizing. Here we go back to that original vote out in 2023, Dewey Beach Survivor.
Made it a hell of a lot farther.
I did, which was make it a lot worse. The demoralization was a lot worse this year because I was too. My name wasn't even able to be written down in the first 2 tribal councils. Yeah. So first time I was even eligible, it's like, okay,
you bowed out.
I bowed out.
And do you think your move has set Haley on the course to win? That was clearly your number 1.
Oh, she was definitely my number 1, yeah. I thought we were in an actual alliance. Mm-hmm. I mean, she could have...
When did she approach you about being in an alliance?
I don't know, about a month ago.
Before we even got to the beach?
Before the game even began, yeah.
Yeah.
And she looked like she might be sincere, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm considering this. Like, what else do I got to do?
And then you were the number 1 pick.
Yeah, well...
For her tribe.
Of her tribe, yeah.
Yeah. Her first selection.
Was me.
And so there was clearly a bond, and that was enough for you to remove yourself from the game and let her go forward.
Well, if you go to this stage of the game, you want people who are going to play with confidence and competence, and I just didn't think I had either at that point.
Having seen today's challenge of Holy Rollers, how would you have fared?
I slightly regret my decision at this point because I like the game design, but I don't know. When push comes to shove, I don't know if I'm going to actually sink any in the cups.
I mean, Kathy won immunity.
Which is
who would have seen
staggering, absolutely staggering. Yes.
Yeah. And actually, the past 2, really, it's been her hands, her crippled hands,
her freaking gnarly hands
are securing her safety here. And so we have just seen Matt leave the game. What's your reaction to Matt being voted out?
I mean, 2's the charm because he was voted out first night, so this is the second night.
Yep.
He was close. He was a little bit confident in his ability. Overconfident, yeah, because, I mean, on his podcast episode, he started talking trash immediately. Yeah. Tore me down. I mean, he wasn't wrong, but he still didn't need to go there. And then he knew all along that if he didn't win immunity tonight, he was gone. So
Well, I mean, that was on him because he didn't even try to find another advantage. So he really pigeonholed himself into one way forward and eliminated himself from the challenge.
I mean, I realized it was a super hot day down here in Dewey, and the ocean, the breeze was hot, and then he went to Rehoboth on the boardwalk with his son. He came back looking all dehydrated, and I could think
disheveled.
He was disheveled, but I think he was setting up an excuse for, like, if it doesn't go well, it's because I don't have enough electrolytes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I mean, I noticed that. I thought at the time, and I thought, but he was close. He was close in that challenge. I mean, he could have advanced.
It could have been anyone, really. I mean, Kathy didn't have any target on her.
That was the mistake.
That was a mistake.
Big
they didn't
mistake.
even out the balls.
I understand why they wanted to get Matt out.
Yeah.
Kendall
Sure.
and Haley.
All three were going for them.
Well, Kathy was, she was, but she was, meanwhile, enjoying complete immunity with 0 balls in her cup.
No threat, yeah. But yeah, she didn't even consider,
Nobody considered getting
balls.
Kathy out. Nobody.
But most of the balls that Kendall took on were accidental.
It's true.
They really were.
They were.
She wasn't targeted. She got a lot of balls in herself, and then the others rolled accidentally from Haley into hers.
They were all targeting Matt.
Yeah.
And then we leave 0 balls in the eventual Champions Cup. It's too much to overcome.
What would your strategy have been? What would you have been going for?
I would have probably gone for Matt, but I think I would have tried to send a couple Kathy's way too, because I would have noticed the score was 3-3-3-0.
0.
Yeah, 0.
It was 0 for so long.
A long
That
time.
was a 45-minute challenge.
Until the game, until Matt was eliminated. She
Yeah.
didn't have 0. She had 0 right up until Matt was eliminated.
Probably around 35, 40 minutes.
At least.
She didn't take a ball.
35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was too late to overcome that at that point.
Yeah, I mean, when you're down 4-0 and she needs to sink 1 against you,
Yeah.
that's going to be pretty tough. What do you think of her? What do you think of Kathy's chances going forward?
Kathy's chances are greater than I thought they would be at this point.
Final 3.
Yeah, she's
where Jim was last year. They swapped spots with the same 2 finalists that we had from the 2023 season.
Yes, but the fact that she stepped up in the challenge, although people
Past 2.
didn't really target her, but she did it and she won it, and you can't discount that.
Yeah. Her pitch leading up to that challenge was take me to the end because I can't win. And now she won the puzzle portion of the Egghead Challenge to secure immunity for Nalu, sending you home. And she has won the first individual immunity for our merger tribe, Menahoon, safe at tonight when she could have been the one going home.
So those 4 competing for individual immunity, she would have been not even one of the people you would vote as a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you look at the challenge, that levels it off. But in terms of even because then you're talking competitiveness, like just analytical skill, and then just rolling the ball. I just didn't think she would be a consideration.
I mean, nobody today scored better on the gambling portion of the challenge than she did. She probably sent the most balls by far. I think she usually had
just guessed.
That Riley Luck. Jim was a great gambler to begin with.
Yep.
He's out now, so Puteki Teki cut him loose right before the Egghead Challenge, sent him to Redemption Island. He was not voted out. He was eliminated by Matt and kind of himself. It didn't even seem like he wanted to go further.
No, he always feels a little like he needs to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah, I heard there's a great story that wasn't captured on camera from Jimmy and Kathy, kind of similar to the vein of the "don't put shit in my conversation" from years ago.
Oh my God!
Is there could we hear a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh! Yes, absolutely. So yesterday morning we got up there in the kitchen. Jimmy's cutting onions for Kathy's mac salad, and they were working as a team. It was going well. There was a little bit of, like just friendly banter between the two of them. It was nice. Then all of a sudden, it got a little bit contentious. You could just feel the temperature shift. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy, who is obsessed with any lottery ticket you can possibly find in any state of the union. Well, we happen to be in a different state of the union called Delaware, which has 3 counties, by the way, only 3 counties.
Yeah.
And so Kathy could not download the Delaware Lottery app on her phone, and he could not for the life of him think, why would that be? Because the day before, she couldn't do it. Uh-huh. So this next day, surely she'd be able to do it. And when she couldn't, he's just looking over her shoulder. He was obsessing about it. He kept asking her, why is it not working? And so they were getting more and more frustrated with each other. And so Jimmy was over there looking at the bottles to put in his cooler to take down to the beach. So he's over there like rummaging through those. Kathy's like steam's coming out of her ears, and she's like, "You got to stop." And so Jimmy looked up without hesitation and said, "I didn't start." Moment of the vacation. We've got to get some "I didn't start" T-shirts going because it was absolute priceless. Kathy moved downstairs. I recorded it in my brain. I'm like, that is freaking brilliant. I mean, if you've ever seen The Fugitive, and he says, "I didn't kill my wife," Tommy Lee Jones says, "I don't care." It was the same thing. Yeah. I didn't start. It was absolute poetry.
Jim is the master of phrases that punctuate our vacations.
Yes, always.
Don't put your shit in my conversation is an all-time line. To the point where we had T-shirts made of a lot of the phrases.
I mean, I remember the one beach house we had, there was the chalkboard. And yes. I thought I missed the chalkboard this week because that, like, I didn't start would have been beautiful to just, like, put up on the chalkboard. There's been others, but that one was that's T-shirt worthy.
He's definitely the master of one-liners. And your fellow jury member, along with Susie and now Matt. So we have 3 people left in the game: Kathy, Kendall, Haley. Let's go through them and rate their chances as you see it, and kind of talk about their game thus far. Let's start with Kendall.
Kendall's game she's been in it. I think she's been coasting a little bit. She's not been like trying to ball out in the challenges. I mean, she's been a searcher for the idols, so I give her credit for that. Yeah. I give her credit for that. But I don't see that dynamism with like I'm just like I got to force my way to the finish.
Yeah, I think I could see maybe her social game needs work. I think she sticks to maybe a few alliances and doesn't try to expand, and there might be other work to do outside of that. We'll see how things play out. I mean, I think there's not too much of a secret about maybe a repeat final two.
Yeah, that seems probably the most likely, but like I said a few minutes ago, Kathy's 2-day rally you gotta take notice of it.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next one, then, I guess the person who you single-handedly have kept into the game at this point, Haley. Do you think she has that chance to repeat?
I mean, it's on the lower end of the spectrum. For the first reason is that
even if she's final two, right?
Yes, I mean, because she won last year, and so that is a huge target on her back. Totally target on her back. So, and truth be told, her challenge, like individual challenge domination, didn't show up in 2024 like I thought it would.
I completely agree. I wouldn't say I've been disappointed. I think I've been surprised.
Surprised is the word, yeah.
Surprised, and maybe even, I think she has room to say that it's intentional and she's trying to hide into the background and not dominate. But having been a viewer of those challenges, I just think that the equalizer's there, and people are pretty much on the same level, regardless of what it is. And her natural advantage has kind of waned, and now we're trying to see how good her social game really is. But yeah, if she makes it to the final two, she's won before. That's going to be very difficult to garner more votes. But getting there a second time, you all know that she won the first season. And she's in the final three. I mean, there's 4 people who haven't won who were on the jury. She's already won. I'm not saying she should go out, because Lord knows I would be in a lot of trouble for saying that. But I'm just saying it's surprising she's still around, and a testament to her gameplay. Even though a lot of it has to be on you because of that move. It could have been, and you could play that idle for yourself, and it's her going home. There's no other choice. She has no other option.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she... I think she came into this game thinking there was a big target on her back, and there was. Sure. And so the fact that she was able to last this long and play with that kind of heart was...
And not have the immunity challenge protection. She didn't just dominate all the challenges, which I was honestly worried about, was that she just has such an advantage over you geriatrics.
Yeah.
That she was going to take everything, and that hasn't been the case. It's been pretty even, and she hasn't won much.
No, yeah, that really surprised me. That has really surprised me, that she hasn't been able to be the dominant force that she was last year.
Yeah, and love her. Don't think it's intentional. I don't think that's a part of her gameplay.
Oh no. She is fighting tooth and nail to win.
Yeah.
So none of this in terms of could it be strategic? The answer is a big fat 100% no. Absolutely not.
However, all she needs is one more immunity, and that's all that's left.
That's fine. So
she can
she can sit at the end, and I think that because she brought me along through the first few days, that I really sincerely believe she and I were in a true alliance.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for me to not write her name down on the parchment as the sole survivor of Dewey Beach 2024 if she's sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, if she gets to the end, having won last season, I think that's an amplifier, not a discounter for her game. I think a lot of people would view it as she's won, so why would I vote for her? But I think it's almost the fact that she's won makes it even more impressive that she's there.
I mean, it'll be an interesting, final argument.
Yeah.
Between the last two, and the reality is Kathy's not going to come across if she's sitting there in the final two. Her speech is going to feel a little forced, a little bit cliche. She's going to the tone that she's going to use. It's just going to feel like she's playing to the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, whoever she's sitting by is, Kendall might feel a little like that, but Haley's going to speak from the heart. She's going to be like, I dominated bitches 2 years in a row. Vote me.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good argument to make. And Kathy's might sound like, look at me, I made it to the end. How great is that? But what else is underneath that?
I mean, she worked hard. She worked hard this season.
No idols, no advantages.
She searched.
But immunity challenges.
Yeah. I think if she gets there, she belongs there.
Mm-hmm. And if you had to place your money on one of the 3 left, where would you put it?
I would probably... I'm trying to think of the jury at this point. I would say...
You, Jim, Susie, and Matt are the jury so far.
Then it's going to be Kendall.
You think Kendall's the betting favorite?
Given the jury and given the fact that the Rileys, they're not going to go 2 years in a row. They're just going to be...
I agree. From what I've heard from them, that they don't sound too enthused, especially Matt.
Yeah.
In his podcast interview, he was pretty much out on the idea of a repeat winner.
Also shitting on me during that podcast interview for no reason.
Yeah. I think you got shit from every interview.
It's been a tough tough season for me in the pod.
Oh, but you started out famously. And then again, this could have been your season. You took yourself out. I don't think you have anyone to blame but yourself.
I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that because the challenge yesterday was so abysmal. It was absolutely. I like that great skit on Tim Robinson. I don't want to be. I don't want to be here anymore. I couldn't be here anymore. I could not be here anymore. The way that played out. Once we look at the footage of that. And my flailing around with a freaking bucket on my head and not being able to find the eggs and the camera in my face. I'm sure I looked like I wanted to jump into the bushes.
Plus, I have you in the frame with the egg that you're looking for.
That's wonderful. Can't wait to see that.
That's no good. Yeah, no, that
because I probably passed that like 700 times.
Yeah,
in my twirling around in the backyard.
The other egg was right next to it. They were in the same caddy.
Slowly.
But yeah, I mean, I can't feel bad because you chose to take yourself out. I mean, literally, that vote was just about what you did because you saved Haley instead of yourself. You could have said, "All right, I didn't do that great in the challenge." But look, Haley actually was the real problem there. It wasn't how much time I took, because now Lou never realized that they were using 7 puzzle pieces instead of the 8 that they needed.
I clarified that today.
Until she said that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I clarified how that went down.
That was huge. That was on her.
That was on her, but she was...
beautiful as she is, that was on her.
She was screaming for me, how much she believes in me, and
that she was ready to solve it. And also, she thinks that was the most coherent phrase for the puzzle. I'll send her to my grammar classes, because let me tell you, what I came up with was the right phrase.
She'll never agree with that. But,
yeah, I know.
But Aurelius was out there cheering me on. He's like, I'm like, this kid is almost 6, and he's feeling sorry for me. I have got to get out of here. He's so,
just like, come on, please.
Please, he was. Please end this. We're 60 minutes in.
Like, I can't find it. I'm not even looking anymore.
He probably knew where it was.
No. He did say he found all 4 outside. So
yeah, I'm sure he did.
He had to have known at some point.
Well, he could have. Come on, boy. Help the old pappy out.
I was worried that it might have been sabotage from Nalu, because I had the eggs next to each other. So Puteki Teki and Nalu's eggs were at every spot close together. I thought that somebody might throw one of the eggs away from the other team.
But that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. But it did happen during our barbecue bash, our first immunity challenge. Haley saw another tribe's bag when she discovered a Puteki Teki bag, and she threw it. So I was a little bit worried, having known that there might be some...
sabotage?
Yeah, some sabotage. And so that's when I came out to check with the camera where the position of the eggs were. And
I mean, that's just intense competitiveness right there.
Yeah.
That's a will to win.
Yeah. That Haley has that a lot of others don't.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, Mom took herself out of the game. You've taken yourself out of the game. Jim was kind of shooting at his own cup during Redemption Island, so you could say...
And he was the one who could have changed the whole trajectory.
Absolutely.
He could have eliminated
Matt
if on like
3 shots.
I was 10 shots, 10, 12 shots. He could have eliminated
10 shots.
Matt.
He could have done.
Yeah, he would have.
If he had the will to do that.
That's a skill he has. I don't think he was thinking strategically as much, but if he was, he could have just like plucked it.
I think he was thinking, this is my opportunity to exit. I'm going to take it.
Exit stage left.
Yeah. So you are one of 4 jury members. We're going to have one more join us tomorrow night. One more immunity challenge awaits everyone. When it's all said and done, who is going to be the sole survivor of Dewey Beach 2024?
Just because the way the statistics line up, the jury configuration, I don't think. I mean, it's down to 2. I mean, it's either Kendall or it's Kathy. If I were to predict, I'd say Kendall. Mm-hmm. But if Kathy squeaks into that second chair, it's gonna be. I mean, she's got the Riley votes, unless Jim tries to misspell Haley's name again. That's gonna. I mean, I think it's. If is Kathy sitting there, I think Kathy wins. But right now, because I don't want to think Kathy's going to win the immunity, I don't think she. I mean, how can she keep that up?
Yeah.
So assuming she doesn't, it's going to be Kendall, Haley, and Kendall will be the sole Dewey Beach survivor 2024.
I don't disagree with that assessment. I really thought Kendall was going to be out early. I almost thought that she was a bigger threat than Haley because Haley won before. I thought people would look at Kendall and say she got to the end and now she has a chance to get to the end and win. And so I need to really set my sights on her, but I don't know if she's really gotten any votes. I can't think of too many.
I don't think anyone's written her name down so far. Yeah. No.
She's very good at staying under the radar and letting you guys line up against each other.
Yeah, in that respect, she's played a pretty masterful game.
Any regrets from your gameplay, looking back on this season?
I mean, if I could do anything over again, I think I psyched myself out for putting the puzzle together, and the challenge yesterday with the eggs. Uh-huh. I mean, if I'd known that it was trying to put a phrase together and not actual puzzle pieces, I think, first of all, Haley would have been lightning quick. She'd have found everything. Yeah. I'd have been there. I'd have been able to figure out the phrase. Mm-hmm. So that's my only regret, that I put the
roll.
Yep, I put the basket on my head. I went fumbling around for the eggs. I actually cracked an egg, and you told me I had to put the yolk back in it, and then I had to find a way out and hold on to the. No, that would be If I had Haley running and searching, and I was solving, which was completely not something that I would ever think intellectually would be possible.
Yeah.
If I could do that, I would. That would be my do-over.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. This is actually going to be our last question. Our Dick's Insider question. Code Surviving Dewey for 15% off of Dick's Insider, including their new Fingers Insider, which features Zinfandel grapes from the Finger Lakes, Seneca Lake. Our last question is, comparing your experience from this season to last season, what's been the difference? You got a lot more gameplay under your
Well, it's not just the gameplay. The production quality is just it's unmatched. I think when people view the whole thing from start to finish, including the podcast episodes, they're going to realize this was not a rinky-dink little, let's put together a few funny challenges and call it, Surviving Dewey Beach. This was a well-designed, well-thought-out, comprehensive Survivor challenge that I was up for. I wanted to be a part of it. And even though I'm not going to be sitting there with the idol and the
immunity,
just the trophy. That's a great trophy too.
That is a great trophy.
This last year felt like, this is cute. This year feels like we could sort of rent you out to other families.
I really appreciate that. I will say this this whole games has been about a year in the making.
I'm not surprised.
The minute we left, I just thought about how much I could make this better, and it started with the dozen being a full-on challenge. And it's doing the podcast, doing the talking heads, and just being removed from the challenges in a way that I can make them without having to worry about how I can compete in them without an advantage has been amazing. Seeing everyone be more involved has been amazing. So this has been terrific for me. And you were my favorite castaway from the first half of the season. I think you drove the bus for the first half of the season, which in Survivor, it's who's ever the last driver on the bus who wins. You were first up, which is never a good role to be in, but...
Drove it right into the railing.
And someone else has got to pick it up. But you were terrific. You were great on the pod. I appreciate everything you gave to the season.
I loved it.
And I can't
Absolutely
wait to see
loved
who
it.
is our sole survivor.
Cheers. Me
So
either.
stay tuned for more on Surviving Dewey Podcast.